So today's video is about some things that I picked up from over the last couple of weeks, some CDs I got. Most of them are from a day when I was out at a gig with my brother. His band, something called Erin Hefzibah, which is a tough one to spell, and there was a band called Tawana Bibles. And it was a good wee day out as well, in HMV. So what I did while I was there to make the most of it was I picked up some CDs, which, I always like to do that when I'm there. Not all of them are like that, but we'll get to that. So, first up is Elemental by Tears for Fears. Now, for me, this is probably the most underrated album of theirs, for the simple reason that some of the songs in here are absolutely brilliant. They're some of my favourites. Obviously, songs from the Big Chair's got to be their best. There's not a single bad song in that. Whereas this, I think there is, not necessarily bad, but it's definitely pretty weak compared to the others, which is Dog's the Best Friend's Dog. But all of the other songs are brilliant. Power, the title track, Break It Down Again was the single from this. Brian Wilson Said in Goodnight song. And this was Kurt Smith wasn't there. I think this might be the only album done under the Tears for Fears name when it's just Roland. There might be another one that I've not heard, but I think for the next album that they were both back because they fell out for a while. So I don't know if that's why people don't like this album too much, or don't love it at least, compared to some of the others, like what's that called again? 1987. I don't remember what it's called at the moment, but people tend to prefer that to this. So that's one. Two. Now these are two that I ordered from Amazon. Tears for Fears again, The Hurtin'. And obviously this isn't an album that I was talking about because it was sitting right in front of me. But yeah, debut, pretty strong I would say. I think the most criticism that this tends to get is the production is very, very 80s, but for me that's not a problem. Most of the music I listen to is 80s music, so that isn't a problem. And it has some bonus tracks on here of Pale Shelter and Mad World. Change has a extended version as well, so they're pretty good too. But this is where Mad World came from, which the cover's probably more popular at this point. Suffer Little Children, Ideas as Opiates, the title track again, and Watch Me Bleed. The vocals in that are fantastic. I will eventually get around to probably doing like a Tears for Fears sort of ranked video once I finish listening to all of their albums, because I've listened to these songs from The Big Chair and The Seeds of Love, that's what it's called. Okay, The Seeds of Love, that's the album. Those are the ones that I've heard, and I've listened to Tipping Point, their most recent album. So I think I've only got 2 albums of theirs left, and then we'll get to that. Next up is what I would say is probably my favourite, or one of my favourite albums at least, from 2023, and that is Gigi's Recovery by The Murder Capital. Now, this band played at Glastonbury, I think, last year. I think they were on one of the smaller stages, and they had like a 45-minute set, maybe, something like that. That isn't how I discovered them. I'm not sure how I discovered them, really. But they have a song in this album called Ethel, and that was my most listened to track from last year. I just kept on listening to it, and eventually I just decided, right, I'm just going to have to listen to the full album, and let's just say they did not disappoint. It's sort of, I don't know, it's kind of weird, it's like sort of punk, post-punk kind of thing, sort of modern post-punk, or post-punk revival as you might want to call it. They have another album as well that I've not listened to, which is a bit more abrasive than this one. This one's, I'd say, there's a bit easier to get into. And I really like the opener and the closer because they're basically the same track but slightly different. And if you listen to it, you'll know what I mean. Definitely would recommend that to anybody who isn't familiar with them and would like a bit of modern rock music. Since a lot of modern music gets a lot of bad rap, but I don't think it's quite as straightforward as old music good, new music bad. Speaking of older music, this isn't quite so old, this is in the 90s. We have Wish by The Cure. Now, according to the sticker on the back, this was made in Germany. But I've been on a bit of a personal errand, let's say, to find Cure albums. And don't get me wrong, it's not like a price problem or anything like that. I don't really want to rush into it, really, so I'm basically picking up one at a time as I find them. Specifically, I was looking for Faith, because that's probably my second or third favourite Cure album. And again, that's another thing that we'll get into some point down the line. But Wish is fantastic. Has Friday I'm in Love, which everybody knows, which is probably one of my lesser favourite songs on the album. From the Edge of the Deep Green Sea is like this album's version of The Same Deep Water as You from Disintegration. Open is a great opener. High, fantastic. A Letter to Elise is another great one. This was what, 1991, 1992, something like that. Again, and I don't feel like The Cure have a lot of bad albums. I don't think they have any bad albums actually out of the ones that I've heard. So for me, finding any of these albums is always a good find at the bare minimum. So that's that. Next up, second last this is, and I've fallen in love with this album over the last year. It's the Freewheelin' Bob Dylan. Now, the first song that I really, really enjoyed off of this, obviously I knew Blowing in the Wind, Hard Rain's Gonna Fall, and Don't Think Twice, It's Alright. I already knew those three. But Girl from the North Country, for me is really, really pretty special as a song, probably my favourite on the album. So it's that way where if I really love a song, I will probably learn it on guitar, which I did. And then a couple months later, I kept coming back to the album, listening to things like Blown in the Wind and Masters of War. The last couple of tracks I wasn't too fond of, but a couple of weeks ago I went to stay with my brother, and one of the early mornings I was listening to this album. I listened to a few albums, but I listened to this one as one of those, and I don't know, it just sort of clicked more than it did before on that listen. So yeah, I felt I need to go and get it, basically, because the only other one I have is Blood in the Tracks, and my brother gave me Highway 61 revisited as well, actually. So yeah, I basically just felt like I had to get this. What's this, 1963, so I don't know, it's probably one of the oldest albums that I have in terms of release dates, and it's probably my second favourite Bob Dylan album at the moment as well, so take that as you will. Freewheelin'. And the final album is Billy Joel, The Stranger. Now, this was actually a bit of a sort of last minute buy, because I had all of these picked out, all the other ones that I'd already shown you, and the guy gave me £9, but in change he didn't give me any notes, so I was like, I don't know, I'll see if I can find something for £9, and this was here, and I've been looking for this for a while. I was hoping to get this, because it's one of my favourite albums, really. Again, similar to the Freewheelin', I kept returning to it and returning to it. and I don't think there's any bad songs on here. Again, it's just really, really wonderful. I think Billy Joel gets a lot of bad rap as well, for being sort of, I don't know, I guess it was probably overplayed at the time, maybe in like the late 70s, early 80s. So people were probably sick of this. It's like the Phil Collins thing, and like the 80s and 90s, people say that Phil Collins and Peter Gabriel, Sledgehammer was everywhere at the time, so I can understand why people at the time are probably sick of it. But I've never had that problem. I get it now with most of the modern artists. Like, I don't like listening to Imagine Dragons. I don't like listening to a lot of modern Coldplay. Although I still absolutely stand by Parachutes. Parachutes through to maybe Milo Xyloto or Viva La Vida. So I can understand why people might have a problem with this album, but for me it's pretty beloved. And the funny thing with Billy Joel and Bob Dylan is I remember we were on holiday at New Year at one point, and my brother showed me both Bob Dylan and Billy Joel that night. He showed me Piano Man, and he showed me Mr. Tambourine Man, both of them in the same night, and I didn't get into them quite as immediately as I probably should have. It probably took me a couple of years before I really started looking into other songs like, you know, Vienna, or I don't know, what other Bob Dylan songs did I get into not long after that? I'm trying to think now. I don't know, my mind's drawing a blank at the moment. I don't know, probably like Tangled Up in Blue or something. And well, that's a neat little link for those two. Another one I would definitely recommend. Sort of a lot of piano rock songs. So yeah, that's all the things that I picked up over this over January. That's sort of the whole point in this video idea. I have other videos that I have planned to get out within this month as well. I mean, this top I'm wearing is because I went to see Depeche Mode literally just that Wednesday there. So yeah, I'll probably do a video talking about that as well, because it was the second time I got to see Depeche Mode, and when I last seen them was like 2013 or something. It was a long time ago, so I don't remember a lot about it. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled for a couple more videos this month, because I have a couple good ones that I'm ready to do. And yeah, I think that's about everything that I have to really say for this video. As always, let me know if you've picked up anything, any music that you're into at the moment, or just, I don't know, say hello. And obviously leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I think this year I've already made just about as many videos as I made as all of last year, so we're picking up a bit. So yeah, I'll see you all next time.